Warning, major spoilers ahead.
Everyone has that moment in life where everything sort of just clicks. One can spend years searching for the answers to life's greatest mysteries, but most of the time the answer always seems to show up when we least expect it. Sometimes this takes the course of many years, and sometimes it only takes a matter of seconds. But give me the opportunity and allow me to share with you how one small decision turned me into a stronger person than I ever could have imagined. Kind of. This is NieR Automata. Some people call it NieR Automata. I call it NieR Ophthalmology. As long as it's a word that's somewhat close to the real thing, people typically tend to get the gist. On the surface, NieR Octopus Mom is just another stereotypical AAA title. It's a bullet hell hack and slash set in a dystopian future following the lives of robots, aliens, and well-endowed androids. I promise that's an important detail. But pull back the iron curtain of what would normally be another niche JRPG, and you are flung into this spectacular world of heartbreak and sadness and despair and a million other emotions in between that takes you on a journey so wild that the only thing that crossed my mind was how in the world did I end up here? No, seriously, how the hell did I end up here? I think I remember something about poetry and a hat or something like that, but it turns out I am now in the year 11,945. I could tell because it's on my Switch's internal settings. Well, I have nothing better to do, no idea what in the hell my memory's doing right now, and the only lead that I have is a PS4 copy of NieR Obstetrician, so I don't know, I guess I'm just gonna sit here and wait on something to happen, I guess.
Inner thoughts analysis complete. Proposal. Continue analysis on Project NieR Automata to gain further clarity on the surrounding area.
So? A game like NieR Automata should never work on paper. It's a hack and slash bullet hell set in a dystopian future featuring robots, aliens, kaijus, Gundams, romance, philosophy. It's like they just pulled a million different ideas that should have never been able to work together. Just imagine taking all these different pieces of media and cramming them into one story and, well, there you have it. You've just spat out NieR Autobahn. Now, personally, I'm more preferential to easy pick up and play titles. Luigi's Mansion, A Hat in Time, Sonic 3, Pokemon Snap, Persona 5. You pick up these games and within 15 minutes of playing, you know exactly what the game is about. Except for maybe Persona 5. You know, there's always an exception to the rule. Who the hell left all these games here? But all of these games do one thing phenomenally well, and that is immersing the player. You step inside the main character's shoes for a second, no matter what their personality or the wacky world they live in, and you are immediately engrossed in that character's world. So let's add another one to the list. Our story takes place in the year 11,945 during the 14th Machine War between the defending android Yorha units and the invading machine life forms. This proxy war is commanded by Yorha Reconnaissance Base Bunker, whose primary purpose is to preserve humanity's existence after a cataclysmic war that almost decimated their existence. Now, I don't know about you, but I stopped listening after this number right here. No, NieR starts off with one simple but oh so important phrase. Everything that lives is designed to end. There's only two certainties in life, and that is birth and death, and possibly a yearly just dance. We view our main characters, see their humble beginnings if you consider an all-out war against a tower-sized robot Goliath humble, before both characters meet their end.
Analysis. It seems your memory chip is malfunctioning, as both protagonists continue to exist after Act 1.
Look, okay, I'm getting there. NieR Octagon is a game that just works, and it works because it's fully committed to every new idea that it throws at you. So many times I've seen where a game throws out a new mechanic or gameplay element at you for a quick bit and then never fleshes it out whatsoever. Just look at Nintendo's entire catalog. The game might not be environmentally rich with a million things to do, but all of these additions play a vital part to the integral story. Every new mechanic is there to help flesh out NieR Obama's world. Take the beginning, for example. One of the first scenes is your stereotypical options setup, where 9S acts as your system administrator and checks to make sure all your circuits are working. Also, make sure you don't accidentally off yourself. But this is the moment where I was absolutely hooked by the game. This is a fully interwoven tutorial. I'm not just interacting with the menu, I'm communicating with a player inside of the game.
Could you try and pick up the pace a little bit? This is getting embarrassing.
And I can with him too. Playing off the idea that the player is a fully customizable android and having the player's central processing unit be able to be tampered with to immerse the player within the world?
Inquiry. How does the dialogue provided correlate to thesis? How NieR Automata changed my life?
Relax, okay? You ever heard of the term plot progression? We're getting to the point, alright? You just gotta be patient.
Analysis. Okay.
But that does raise a good point. How can a single game change somebody's life? I mean, I can sit here and claim that anything in my life has done that before. Captain Falcon? Sure! There's still no F-Zero in the future. So, let's go over all of the things that cause NieR Automatopoeia to have what some people call a coming of age, I call an existential crisis. Number 1, philosophy. No, I'm not here to talk about things that haven't already been said. Just look up NieR philosophy online. This game has been analyzed into the grave. I mean, come on, when NieR Genesis Evangelion has characters like Adam, Eve, Pascal, Jean-Paul, Simone, it is without a doubt impossible to talk about this title without mentioning the philosophical undertones. In fact, there are many out there who whenever they hear any mention of the game, philosophy is the first word they think of. Of course, I've also happened to come across people who say NieR Optimus Prime is the only game that does this. I guess they never played Mario Kart. Final Fantasy, BioShock, Persona 3, Inside, Final Fantasy again. There are a ton of games that also put philosophy at their forefront. But all of these games, while fantastic in their own right, typically only focus on one single topic. Sure, they might dive into other philosophical elements at times, but typically when the end credits roll, there's usually only one major takeaway from each of these games. Now, the difference with NieR Oxymoron is NieR Oxymoron is f***ing insane. This game encompasses the entirety of philosophy. If it's a topic that makes us question the foundations of existence and reason, you can find it somewhere within this overarching narrative.
Analysis. Does this include my existence?
Pod, your existence bridges off of the combination of intrinsic creativity and the lack of monetary expenditure to provide for a better viewing experience, alright?
What the f?
One of the first missions in the game has us locating a local resistance camp. This will act as sort of a central hub and a rendezvous for the rest of the game. Here we meet the supply trader known as... There's also a main character named Jackass. You know, really puts the characters named after the Bible into perspective, huh? The supply trader asks you to gather spare parts for him as he can't leave the base due to a damaged leg and refuses to get it replaced as it's the only original proponent he has left from his original body. Now, philosophy fans, otherwise known as, Where, would know this as the Ship of Theseus. This is the theory that states that if you have a boat and over time you replace all of the spare parts of that boat, is it still the same boat? If you replace every part of an android with a new part, is it still the same android?
So if I replace my leg...
Don't. Just don't.
Now, this is just one example out of the many that I could pull from Super NieR Odyssey, but most of your NPCs in the game use this tactic as storytelling. They add this rich depth, adding thought-provoking questions to a genuinely human devoid world. I mean, I could go more in depth, but most of these traits can be found within, number 2, the characters. Unlike most AAA titles, NieR Optometrist has multiple main characters that become playable in New Game Plus. Laid out in typical 7x5 fashion, we have Silly Boy, Dear God Mom, It Was Never a Phase, I Promise I Really Do Like Shopping and Hot Topic, and every Rule 34 artist's wet dream. A very diverse cast of characters. They're all vastly different from each other in their own way. However, each character has their own goals and sense of motivation. Now, this isn't uncommon in any sort of media. Most RPGs are structured in this manner, where all of the main characters band together to take on a final mission. Sure, their initial motivation might be planting flowers, but at the end of the day, all of these characters' end goals are typically around the same. Here in NieR Abominable Snowman, though, every single character has a different end goal. Instead of playing as a typical story where all of the characters move from point A to point B, each character uses their story to explore and expand the concept of philosophy. Please see earlier. Hell, the very last chapter of the game pits 2 of the main characters against each other, both following their contradictory goals.
Proposal. Offer a quick comedic analysis of all characters in NieR Automata.
Fuck it, I've got time.
Yorha Unit 2B, our heroine of the game and beholder of one of the best achievements in video game history. I told you it was important. 2B is a combat android meant to do one thing and one thing only. Follow orders and do what you're told. Wait a second, that's 2 things. She's cold, she's emotionless, and she's not an easy character to relate to. Unless you like wearing no pants and beating the shit out of robots, okay? Whatever floats your boat. No, that honor goes to 9S, a scout unit meant to aid combat units on their journey. 9S is the exact opposite of 2B. He's happy-go-lucky, whimsical, a complete idiot. He's a perfect contrast to 2B, as he's just extremely easy to relate to. And then there's A2, the rogue character. She just wants to be left alone, doesn't want anything to do with Yorha, and she's an absolute bitch. I love her. All of these characters, again, don't have just different motivations pushing them throughout the story, but different goals. 2B is a stereotypical story. You fight the bad guy and the credits roll. But 9S is a deeper dive into 2B's side of the story, discovering the truth about the universe and what's going on in this dystopian future. And A2's story is about, well, a lot of complicated stuff, okay?
Proposal. Shouldn't the subjects continue seeking the answer to how they've ended up in
Shouldn't
this
you keep letting me talk about this fantastic cast of characters?
Proposal. Stop being a bitch.
Even the side characters, at times, are far more interesting than the main characters. You've got Pascal, the leader of a peaceful enemy group who teaches love and compassion in new age robots. I played through the game twice before I realized he was a boy, but he's literally the spitting image of what one imagines when they think of a motherly figure. He also has one of the saddest moments in the entire game. But the funniest moment has to go to Operator 6-0, definitely my favorite character. Each Yorha unit is assigned an operator that oversees their combat operations and communicates with the bunker to provide mission details and reports. Kinda like this one.
Oh, there's this operator I kind of liked, but when I asked her out, she turned me down.
I love her. Between 9S and Operator 6-0, the humanization, is that a real word? Really starts to take place in this post-apocalyptic world. Between 9S asking to be called nicknames and Operator 6-0 saying it would look cute if 2B had flowers in her hair, the whole motive behind every character is learning how to humanize themselves, and all of that can be encompassed by our main antagonists, Adam and Eve.
Analysis. That man is naked.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to go into the whole novel backstory of Adam and Eve. Adam is an alien that got squirted out and is trying to learn how to be human. If you're wondering where Eve came from, figure it out. But these aliens, as stated by, were just born into this world and have kind of the same curiosities as a newborn child. They ask questions and want to learn more about what it takes to be human, whether it's dressing in human clothes or, trying to commit a mass genocide to understand what hatred and anger feels like, but everything they do is inquisitive. They honestly feel like the newborns they're trying to portray, and in all honesty, after replaying this game time and time again, they don't really feel like they're villains in the story. They're just trying to understand more and more about this crazy foreign world. And if that wasn't enough, Adam and Eve are hosts to one of the best music tracks in the entire game. 2.5, the best music you'll hear this decade. Like, come on, you know I can't talk about NieR Albatross without talking about the soundtrack. If you haven't looked up any music from this game, you are missing out on one of the best soundtracks in video game history. NieR Automated Voice Messaging System utilizes a dynamic soundtrack, meaning many of the songs you hear in the game respond to the environments around them. While the basic versions are usually futuristic string instruments, the more the story unfolds, the more the vocal tracks bleed in to create an audio experience that is truly out of this world. This is Emmy Evans, vocalist of the NieR series and creator of the game's Chaos Language. Now, what is Chaos Language, you ask?
Chaos Language is a fictional language that is a melting pot of...
I'm telling the story!
Chaos Language is a fictional language that is a melting pot of French, English, German, Japanese, Welsh, Hungarian, Latin. A lot more stuff, all written by one Emmy Evans. If the language was written 10,000 years in the future, language changes over time, whether it be because of slang or updated terminology, so NieR Antonym uses this to create a sense of familiarity, so it feels like you're picking up parts of languages you've heard before. When you're able to pick out these consonants and vowel sounds from our modern languages to understand the emotions portrayed by these future languages, as a musician of over 15 years, I can safely say that NieR wait a second.
Why does this seem so familiar? Was I a musician in a past life? And who the hell left this guitar here as a plot device? Part 3, plot devices.
When creating any kind of story, there's always a sort of unwritten rule you're supposed to follow. You place the setting, in this case being a post-apocalyptic world, the rising action being the birth of Adam and Eve and the conflict that arises, the climax being, well, and the resolution, where everybody has a happy ending. The game could have ended right here and we all would have been perfectly content. I mean, I know plenty of people who didn't even know there were 3 parts to this overarching narrative. But with 3 parts comes 3 separate stories, meaning 3 separate plot lines, and this chart that makes no f***ing sense. 2B and 9S have the exact same story set in a different point of view. With 9S being a hacker model, he can view the coding of other machines and essentially see what they're thinking. You would think having the same story, they would have the same plot progression, but no. The build-up in 9S's story leads to the discovery of the shocking truth behind NieR Authentication's driving force. that humans have been extinct for thousands of years. I mean, it's kind of obvious when you think about it, but it took me by surprise the first time I played the game, alright?
Okay, so I think I have a good idea of what could have happened. Pod, I need you to scan the following list of items, alright? I have a trash can, an explosive device, a virgin suit, a bucket, a fully developed fetus, and this framed picture of a 21st century witch.
Analysis complete. Fragments of memory found in the area.
Let's go.
And then we introduce A2, who completely blows that out of the water. A two-story climax at the very end. We see the player bounce back and forth between edgy and angry and recently angry and edgy. So let's do the math here. We have 3 separate plots with 3 separate climaxes, but the climax of the entire game takes place at the beginning of A2's story, where the machines start to become corrupted again. Shooting a story in this way is a weird concept, but it always keeps you on edge. Once you feel like you've seen it all, a new situation gets added to the mix and changes the perspective of the whole entire game. We start the story with 2B and 9S as this heroic duo destined to save humanity, and then right after we're done with 9S's story, he then turns into the villain, with A2 becoming the hero, vowing to continue the legacy that 2B started. And to top it all off, the game ends with both of our leads dying tragically fighting each other. And that's because of 4, the message. The final takeaway from NieR Optical Illusion is a depressing one. Life is meaningless and the system controls everything. No matter what you do, the end result will always be the same. No matter how heroic you try to be, no matter how much you try to teach or learn, no matter what motivation you're fighting for or cause you're trying to save, at the end of the day, you are simply just a cog in the machine that is called life. In 10,000 years, when everybody's dead and gone, nobody is going to remember who you are. In fact, the entirety of existence as we know it may even be extinct. Every single character in NieR Obelisk the Tormentor meets their demise one way or another. All of the creatures, whether androids or not, are progressing towards the same phase. The storyline is just sort of expediting the process. But that doesn't mean that everyone is worthless. With the many genius characters of Nero, Oxford, all of the characters still played a vital role in the overall story, even if they are just a simple cog in the machine. Which is completely counterintuitive to the message the game's final act portrays. But that leads us to one final twist, which is 5, the ultimate fourth wall break. Remember back to that dialogue at the very beginning of the game? Everything that lives is designed to end. Well, there's a second part to that sequence. I often think about the gods who blessed us with this cryptic puzzle, and wonder if we'll ever have the chance to kill him. And, well... Finally, we've reached the credits of the game. A typical Toho-style shoot-'em-up that we've seen so many times before already in this 30-hour journey. This might be the end of the game itself, but this is the finale of this dystopian world. You're running through the credits, shooting and destroying the creators of this world that have crafted the gameplay you've experienced so far. In a sense, you are literally killing God. And it's impossible. And I mean that in a literal sense. You truly cannot defeat the gods, rather, the crafters of this artificial world we've inhabited for the past 30 hours. Every time you die, the game gives you this sinister reminder of the ongoing theme of this game. Do you admit that there's no meaning to this world? Do you think games are silly little things? All the while in the background, there's these inspiring messages from players around the world, urging you to press on, urging you to keep moving forward, even when victory is impossible. But then a query. Are you willing to accept a rescue? Other players from around the world. Players who have journeyed and beaten and trudged the same path as you, ready to help save you and break the vicious cycle that 2B and 9S have struggled through time and time again. It breaks this convention of an endless cycle of fighting without a cause and dying over and over and over again. Which leads us to today.
Is this North Carolina?
Welcome back to a brand new episode. Here to the right, you will see a brand new copy of Doki Doki
Pod,
Adventure Club Plus.
run a scan of this character that looks like a bad Saturday morning cartoon.
Affirmative. Scanning complete. Subject identified as Alexander Huff, original facilitator of Project Glitched Out, alias commonly referred to as Xalem.
Shouldn't it be pronounced Xalem?
Negative. Gathering more data on subject. Displaying memory files. Subject is Alexander Huff. Characteristic shows he is unstable, sarcastic, multi-talented, extremely cheesy.
Alright, okay, I am not extremely cheesy.
Project Xalem data file confirmed. Project Xalem is a manifestation of your creation, built upon the purpose to provide entertainment. Subject started project due to feelings of inadequacy in comparison to peers. Subject is a college dropout. Failure in pursuing music. Failed romantic endeavors. Employment terminated. Depression. But then subject was exposed to Project NieR Automata. Concluding exposure to Project NieR Automata, subject showed signs of enlightenment, empowerment, resolve, and subject finally realized that humanity is a gift and therefore deserves cherishment, even if it's temporary, and not a real word. Subject might just be a drop in the ocean or comparable to a grain of sand on a shoreline, but subject brings joy and excitement to many, despite an urge to exhibit extreme levels of stubbornness. Subject is an idiot, an asshole, self-centered, and emotional. But subject exhibits extreme levels of gratitude. Subject shows an extreme loyalty to a craft, and especially an intense adoration towards his companions, although upon further analysis, would never warrant a confession. Conclusion. Subject realizes that they serve a purpose. Subject has completed Project NieR Automata. Subject has completed a 1.5 year long journey, the hardest he's worked on anything in his life. That subject has earned and understood his importance. And that subject is you.
Everything that lives is designed to end. We are perpetually trapped in a never-ending spiral of life and death. Is this a curse or some kind of punishment? I often think about the God who blessed us with this cryptic puzzle and wonder if we'll ever have the chance to kill him.